The Diabslow.
On the Diabslow today, it's been dubbed the Diabslow because it's Diablo Red and it's a bit slow. Has got a good stage 1 map on it, or it did have, and it pretty much slipped the clutch instantly. So we wound back to a low torque stage 1 map, and it still kind of slips. So, and the clutch is pretty nasty. I put a new cable in, which you might have seen on a previous video. Maybe not. Anyway, I put another cable in and it wasn't that. So, box is going to come out. At the same time, I want to do a nice refresh on the suspension. And massive benefit of these 306s is you can get all 4 dampers, Bilstein B4s, which is like the GTI stock OEM kind of damper. Nice refresh, 134 quid for all 4 corners, delivered. Got a set of springs, we'll talk about those later perhaps. I've got a message, and so that will be dampers all round. Brakes will come later, I think, and rear beam will be a different video too. So today I'm just going to strip some bits off it. Max Attack's going to be on the way in a couple of days time, but it knew we were doing something because this spring I believe is broken at the weekend. Well, when I drove it the weekend anyway. I gave it to Mrs. Piggy and now it's got a broken spring. It's got a knock definitely that side as well, so we're going to probably put a couple of ball joints on it, some drop links while it's all apart, give it a nice refresh. Hasn't done a great amount of miles, but I intend this to be my daily driver for some time to come, so nice refresh on the suspension. That should last me 10 years or so on the main components. That's the plan.
Okay everyone, so some quick tips while we're at it. As you can see, I've stripped everything apart. First quick tip is work on cars you know well. An hour and I've got all the front hubs apart, all the front suspension apart, all the parts off the front suspension I want, ball joints, track ends are loosened, drive shafts are out, it's all open and sort of ready to start working on the gearbox at the top. Basically an hour and 10 minutes. And that's running to the toilet and getting some water as well. So top tip, work on cars you know well. Some other top tips is always have little containers like the old ice cream containers and butter containers, and then you can keep all your bolts for the different areas separate. So that one is all for the suspension this side, and there's one for the other side, and then there's a tub for all the bolts coming off the top, and there's a tub underneath for all the bolts coming underneath. And then when you're putting stuff back together afterwards, you know where it all is. I've also got a tray just for the tools I've used, because I'm shutting up for the night and coming back to it 2 days time, so I want to know which tools I've used for when I'm putting it back together. So that's one tip. For gearbox leaks, I found a lot of basically to replace that copper washer which costs 50p, loads of sealant and all sorts they put on it. I mean, it's 50p, just put a new copper washer on it. But anyway, so there's a strut, good strut, bad anti-roll bar, bad ball joints, so we're going to be replacing both of those. Another top tip for the top here, if you ever expose intake or exhaust valves or intake exhaust of any sort, block them up temporarily. You're not dropping little bits down there and forgetting about it and ruining your day when you go to start it up. Also spend 5 minutes taking pipework off that might be in the way. So I've done that, and then I've got a box for all that down there. Took me 5 minutes to take that bit of pipework off. You could work around it, but you know, it's just, well, it just makes life easier. And then this side is our suspect bit of noise. So again, a ball joint which is questionable, so I will replace it while it's all apart. Anti-roll bar same, all the rubbers have gone. And then, I don't know if you can see, but it's definitely broken, that spring. Most definitely broken. Incredibly, it's had a higher ride height on this side than the other. But that's a proper break. Very nice. So there we go, that will get replaced. So this will all get replaced. The only thing I'm going to reuse is the hat here. They don't really wear out. They're kind of part rubber, part metal, unless you ruin the threads in them. So all this get used. New bearings, a pair in there, one per side. Spring replacements, we'll talk about those later. We'll obviously use the boot and the bump stop, and then new dampers are all coming. Here's what the postman's brought me in the last sort of 48 hours. What we got here? Well, we got an LUK clutch, courtesy of GSF, with their code this weekend. I got this for 68 quid delivered, and one of the best clutches, I think, stock clutches you can get in here. So that should cope with a high torque map, and we can put that back on it again. Gear 8 transmissional at 7580, total gear 8. Only ever use this in the BA3, B4 boxes. Nothing else is good enough, and it's not expensive. 16 quid for 2 litres. A pair of bearings for the strut tops, which we'll look at later, like 7 quid a pair, not expensive. New seals for the drive shafts, always worth a few quid on those. And these are the bushes that the fork arm basically sits in, top and bottom. Again, it's about 8 quid for a pair, and well worth it. Makes the pedal feel really nice, that. So that's good. And while we've got the front suspension all split apart, we've got new ball joints, new track rod ends, new anti-roll bar links, and then I noticed that the lower pulley is kind of just starting to pull apart. So I've got one on order, that's not quite arrived, but a new belt as well. I'm not sponsored by Quinton Hazel, by the way. That'd be nice. Not sponsored by anyone. I'm sponsored by my own bank account, which isn't a great sponsor. So that's those bits. Not as expensive as you think. Thank you very much, AAA. Again, they're not sponsoring me, but they did a good price on all those bits. And then over here we have... this is the bit of a trial, this bit. We have, I think they're Spacs. Minus 40mm lowering. I don't want to go that low, but they're for a GTI 6. Now, so the theory goes, and has been proven a few times, you put lowering springs for GTI 6 on an HDI XUD 306, the diesel ones, and actually it raises it. So here's me hoping that we'll get a firmer spring rate, but the height won't change or only just. They're a bit scabby, but they were 20 quid. I had them for an idea for the Lemon originally. So we'll see what's what. If they don't work, I can whip them out with all these new joints and stuff. We'll get the struts out in 10 minutes and put some different springs on it. And then in here, oh, shiny, Bilstein suspension. So this is just the B4 dampers, front and rear. The rear we'll do on another episode. This is the front today we're doing. Basically sort of GTI 6 OEM dampers, basically. So nothing special, but a nice refresh, German made, proven, and for all 4 dampers it was 133 quid delivered. So it might seem like I got a lot of money here going in the Diabslow, but this is meant to be my daily driver now for some time, and once we've done the rear beams it's going to be like, and the brakes are on order too, it's going to be new brakes, new suspension, new clutch, and we'll pop a handbelt on it maybe later on in the year before winter comes with some new coolant. So it's on 78,000 miles. I'm planning that essentially I've done all this for another 78,000 miles of major maintenance free driving. That's the plan. Left one is actually offside, right one is near side, but that's old versus new. That spring will be replaced at some point, but I know the red ones look a bit scabby, but it's a bit of an experiment at the moment, and let's see how that goes. Alright folks, so gonna put strut back in, so going to alter hub, because I can't get track rend off. Unfortunately, Piggy, when it comes to you, I'm never quite sure whether you're joking or not.
Have you undone a bolt yet this morning?
Several.
Oh, did you mean to?
Yeah.
Oh, that's alright then.
Yeah. Haven't snapped any off this morning yet, though, which is nice. Let's wait until we get to... Oh, this thing doesn't have a slave, does it?
No.
Okay,
Just flip the cable out the way.
I was going to say you're lucky because that's my speciality, snapping off slave bolts.
Nice. Well, you make all the newbie errors on the first one and then you're alright, aren't you?
Do you know what I love about working on Peugeots? All the bolts are underneath something that's really, really easy to take off.
Difficult.
Sharp. And like, I think what they looked at, they thought, now why make this easy to come apart when you can dismantle many things?
This plate here could be 10 millimeters shorter, but if we leave it a little bit longer...
if we make it a little bit longer, being too bad.
Hey ho.
Something I've not mentioned to everyone yet about on this episode is that nice rusty. Oh, I can't control my camera. Is that rusty 2-part crank pulley? They come apart, they destroy your engine. So that's not a pet cooling mat, even though it looks like one. In there should be a 307 HDI one, which is a better design, and it will go straight on. AAA have a new track rod, inner track rod, coming at 12, so I'll have to do a little lunch run later and get that. So let's get out in the heat, finish some jobs outside, and let Max still attack my car. Doing a great job, Max. It's not even T-braking, he's got the good box out basically.
It's actually not too bad. Definitely not the worst I've ever heard.
No. It did squeal though.
Did it?
Yeah, every time the hard gear change you go...
I get that. I had that in my Subaru for ages. That's why I bought the clutch.
And it's fine now.
And then it just stopped doing it.
It's self-lubricated.
The clutch is fine. I was
the
like,
oil that's leaking out the back.
maybe. There's no oil leak at that side.
No, it's just out the exhaust. So gearbox out. Pull it out of the way then, let's have a look. Your victory. You haven't done your victory dance yet.
I'll do a victory dance when it's all back together again. Oh, look at gearbox. That clip is a nightmare to get to on that sensor.
Yeah, it's fun. Victory dance. Come on, you got those socks dance. Yay, there you go. Victory dance. So, oh, very nice. The new bushes are in, are they not? They are. So here's a little top tip that I like to employ. I drill a hole in the webbing just there, so that you can stick a punch through the webbing there, and then you can punch out the little pin that holds the arm on, which I don't know why they didn't just thread it, because then you can just unbolt it and bolt it in, but you have to punch it out from this side. So you drill a little hole there, 10mm, punch through, and Robert is your mother's uncle's nephew.
So, what was it that you said? Gun them down as hard as you can.
Yeah, just rattle them.
With a half inch.
Send them.
With a half-inch on maximum, yeah?
Yeah, baby. Well, they're like safety screws that once you round them off, they're at full torque.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I've learned something there.
Learn something new every day, eh?
You know, it just goes to show you can't trust the internet, because I was always told that if you round them off, you're in trouble.
Nah, it's fine.
They don't know what they're talking about, do they?
No, rubbish.
All these YouTube
And then if
mechanics.
you look to the Peugeot 206 one, you'll see Mike grinding them off. That's how you get them off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like YouTube euphoria. And everything's in place. We're just putting the lower gearbox bolts on, and then we're gonna have some bacon. Bacon.
Have you actually told your subscribers that you're vegan? Because I think that won't go down very well. I think they'll be like...
Getting hot in here now. Tight. Drive shaft is in.
And never coming back.
No. Okay. Oh, it's too hot.
Undo the manual
How do
tensioner,
they
he said.
do stuff in hot countries?
There you go. Didn't have to undo the manual tensioner. Just needed a little bit of muscle.
Did you?
That's all. There you go. That's all. Happy with that?
Get the drive shaft on, stop moaning.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! The heat's getting to somebody.
It is a bit.
Come in here.
You're getting a bit too close.
Well, I need to be in here, and you need to be doing your thing there.
Let me guide the shaft in. No, yeah, down a bit, up a bit. Oh, that's it. Need to rotate and push at the same time. That's it. Beautiful. Yeah, a bit more. Yeah, I think she's in. Oh. A bit more. Can you get a bit deeper?
Is it in? Honestly?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, we can flip these little suckers around.
I'm sure you do.
So a lot's happened since you've last been with us. We've lost at least another litre of fluid each. This side is all built up now. New inner rod, outer track rod end, inner boot, just because seizure. Shaft's in. That needs cleaning. Disc needs cleaning this side. Gear oil is in, isn't it? Fancy gear oil. Max is looking happy. Very happy actually compared to what we've been up to. Don't forget the plug for the MAF sensor. Probably easy to do without the battery in it. And that is not going to happen before you put the battery in either.
Okay.
Let's take the battery out of the way. Find the MAF plug.
Where's the MAF plug? I asked you if you plugged in all the sensors.
Oh, you're going grey, mate.
Yeah, I've been very grey for a long time.
You're greyer on this screen.
Look at that wisdom that I've accrued over the years.
No, it's not that. What is it? Is it hereditary?
That'd be why it wasn't going in properly.
Just looking at the dirt in your ear. Yeah, that dirt. How'd you get that dirt there?
I don't know. Scrounging around on the floor underneath your dirty, filthy car.
I think in this ear you've actually got dirt in the ear. Nice ear shot. You can probably see it's cooler in here than outside, but it was 35 outside or something today, so Max has gone from delirium. We've managed to finish it. It's taken forever really. Just sort of tracked it up, about to take it out for a test drive, but it drives fine, pedals feels nice, and as I was saying, the 40mm drop that the GTI 6 lowering springs give, I was sort of hedging my bets that the weight difference would mean that on this Diabslow we'd only get maybe a tiny drop or no drop at all. I didn't want it obviously higher really, but I wanted the same height if possible, just a tad lower, but with a spring rate from the GTI 6, basically a firm spring rate but with no height loss, so good ground clearance, etc, etc. So let's have a little look, shall we? So yes, the rear, I am going to drop that a little bit, but there we go. I'm actually quite pleased. I haven't driven it far, just sort of in and out of the garage a few times, so I'm going to take it for a drive now and see how much it might just settle. But we've measured it about 3mm drop both sides, so I would estimate that perhaps after a drive, maybe 10mm drop. Bear in mind they're not brand new springs, so there is not much for them to settle into, other than the cups, perhaps. So I'm actually really pleased with that. So this is my daily driver, so what I want, and I'm doing front and back, is the spring rate from the GTI 6, but I'm keeping the stock Meridian anti-roll bars, which are quite small, but they make a massive difference to just general driving comfort. Okay, so you lose a little bit in the corners, but nothing but a bravery and a bit of left foot braking can't correct. So I'm really happy with the sort of height we've got. We're going to take it for a drive now, and then we can re-upload the high torque map, stage 1 map, because we're on a low torque map and it was still spinning the clutch. Oh, clutch, going to have a look. So that was the clutch that came out, original LUK clutch, I'd say. It's not too bad, I've seen worse, but it's pretty shiny, and obviously sort of lost its grooves in a number of places. It's close to the rivets, I'd say about like 0.2 of the nil off the rivets in a couple of places. It looks like there's quite a lot of meat, if it would focus, but actually not really, not when you look at the thickness of the rivets, but it definitely is spinning, look. No contamination, pleased to see that, so we're just slipping clutch. So we put a brand new LUK clutch in, that should hold a stage 1 high torque map, no problem at all. Won't hold stage 2, but this is just my daily, it's doing like 56, 57 to the gallon. That's happy for me. So, let's take it out for a drive. It's been up on stands for a good week, and I'm keen to see what it drives like now. Lots of new joints, new clutch, new gear oil, new cable. Yeah, keen to see what it's like.